Good morning. Welcome to postural corrections I'm doing today. If you don't know me, hi, I am Lisa, the health and confidence coach, and I'm here every single day at 9 to talk about some kind of movement and how, if you did move, how it's going to benefit you to have a better day, and how if you're not moving, that might be the reason why you are suffering every day with aches and pains due to lack of movement. So what I like to do is I've got a little timetable, and generally Mondays we do a good full body mobilisation which is suitable for every day. Yesterday we did a deep hip stretch to really tackle the pains and the feedback that a lot of you are feeling around the lower back and the hips and the leg there. And today I wanted to talk about it's posture corrections. So today I am actually still keeping it on the hip theme, only because I know that a lot of people suffer massively with lower back, and most of the time it may be something to do with the hips because the hips do a lot of work. So today I wanted to talk about anterior pelvic tilt, which is a big word, and what that means is basically that you've got a hip tilt of sticking out. So these people often look, don't know if I can do it, like bum out, boobs out, yeah? Okay, that's kind of what an anterior pelvic tilt looks like, yeah. So I wanted to talk about it because I wonder how many of us have it. So when I'm looking at anterior pelvic tilt, it actually comes, if you hold yourself in this way, you might think that this is just your natural holding position. You remember we were talking yesterday and even last week about those tight hip flexors. If you've got yourself in a posture of always having bum out like this, or Donald Duck bum, then those hip flexors are actually always going to be tight. And if you've been moving this way for a very long time, then it's time that we did something about it. I was very quick to walk away from my screen there, so I'm just going to come over and say good morning to everybody. Hello, hey Sham and Tina, my favourite people. Thank you for always being here. Perfect, yes. So anterior pelvic tilt, or the Donald Duck bum. May be the reason why you are feeling a lot of pain. And you might be thinking, oh well, I'm just standing. But if you feel like when you stand that your bum does stick out a little bit and you get your chest out a little bit, it makes that S shape with your back and causes all that tightness. Actually, if you stand in that way, it wouldn't be surprising to me if you felt this in your lower back all the way down to the knees, down to the heels there as well. And you might be thinking, oh right, well I thought that this was good posture. I thought that was how I was supposed to hold myself. Well, no. If you have been holding yourself in that way for a very long time, there are some very gentle stretches that we can do to help you put yourself back in alignment. Now, yesterday we were here and we were doing deep hip stretches to feel the relief around that area. And luckily, actually, these are the same kind of stretches that you would do to help you feel relief in those areas and to actually help your hips understand that they belong here. They belong here, not out there. And the best way that I can describe this is that some people like to think of it as a bucket of water. I like to think of it as like a fishbowl. Okay, so we're going to make our hips is going to be our fishbowl. Centre of gravity, I like to call it as well. But the reason why I want you to picture it as a bucket or a fishbowl with water in is that if it is the hip's job to keep all of that water in, and we've got like a fishbowl in the middle of our hips, then we're going to keep everything nice and straight to avoid that water spilling out. But if we've got that little Donald Duck bum going on, we're actually letting that water all spill out. So that's actually the best way that I can describe that makes it sound good, because it actually makes sense that you're spilling it all out or you're keeping it all in. Nice. And sometimes when people notice that they've got the old Donald Duck going in, they'll pull it in, and then they'll overcompensate when going for a little look up at the ceiling. And we don't need to be that on it, because actually this is giving us, putting you out of alignment up the top. That is a little bit exaggerated, but you'll see what I say, it's just into that. So what we want to do is be careful that you're not over flexing to compensate, that we're just looking after our little fish bowl of water in here. So the stretches that you can do, that you should definitely do to help you loosen these tight hip flexors that you're always sitting into because we've got the old Donald Duck bum going on, are very similar to the stretches that we do on hip day, which is perfect because it's telling you that actually you might have sore hips for yesterday, and you might not even really realise that you might have a very slight tilt of those hips, and actually doing those stretches that we did yesterday are really going to help you out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through those stretches, and then I wanted to show you a couple of exercises that help you put your little bum back, that's going to help you put your bum back in. Okay, so here are my favourite stretches for those hip flexors. Oh God, here we go, I haven't put myself a little wall in there, have I? Morning everybody! That's just come on, that I didn't manage to catch before. Lovely to see you all in the morning. Okay, so I've just lined my mat up against the wall here. This is one of my favourite, most hated stretches for the hip flexors, and I think most of you know what it is. So what we're going to do is you put one foot up against the wall, and then you're going to bring that little knee down to the floor. Then from there, you're going to bring your heel onto the floor, and then you are going to try and get up. Perfect. If you need to, you can hold on to the wall behind you, or you can have a chair or something just down here by the side so that you've got something to balance yourself with. The one thing that we don't do is have a little lean over on our knees, because that's not giving you a stretch at all. So what we do here is we try to get ourselves up, and then we want to try and get our hips up to face the wall. Nice. You're going to heavily ankle press that heel into the floor, and we'll start to drive your hips now into that heel. It makes for a really intense stretch, and it feels like your quad, the top of your thigh, is literally going to pop off. And that's just a good sign that we've got a little bit of tight hips. We're not leaning on that knee, remember. Perfect. If you do have lower back pain or hip pain, this is probably one of my favourite stretches to do. It's the most effective one, although it's probably the most painful one. And I would be holding that up to a minute, even more if you can stand it, on each leg. Yeah, so that we get both bits. Perfect. I know that a lot of you are not a fan of this, but I'll tell you something, none of my clients are a fan of this movement, but I still make them do it because it works. So yeah, what we do is we get a good heel into the floor, we'll have the little hands on our hips, and we're going to try and get our hips, or ask our hips, to at least face the wall over the opposite side of the room. And we're going to start to drive those hips into the floor. Now, I will say that if you've only just started doing this stretch, you might not have too much movement. It might be quite excruciating. And that's cool, you're just going to do what you can. You can hold it. And hold it right there. Love it. Nice. Perfect. I didn't do this one in yesterday's stretch. Lucky you. Perfect. That's great. So we're going to do that one. And again, I'll be holding that up to 60 seconds more if you feel like it on each leg. And you are welcome to do that again if you fancy it. From here, we're going to go down for a nice little lay down on the floor. Rah. And then what I want us to do is put the hands on the floor. And we did do this one yesterday. We'll have a little reach back and we're going to grab one foot. Nice. And the aim is to try and bring that heel to your bum. Nice. And then you're going to try and press those hips all the way into the floor at the same time. In this one, you might want to hold it at 30, 40 seconds. And then you're going to have it a little changeover. We're going to go and grab that foot. You can use a towel if you can't reach back that far to grab your foot. You can hook a towel around your foot and pull that in instead, just whilst you get a little bit of mobility or enough to get back there and get it yourself. Perfect. So about 30, 40 seconds on there. Nice. From here, what I would do, I'm just having a little think about what we're doing. We're going to go and get a little cheeky hamstring stretch in. That's what I wanted to do. Perfect. So we're going to pop one leg up in the air. We'll go through those circles. And the reason, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys are going to notice this, but I've actually got odd socks on because, well, I couldn't find a matching pair, but there you go. They're almost matching. They're from the same pack. Nice. We're going to do our little bounce of encouragement there. And then we're going to flex that toe down to our face. Ooh, and we're going to hold that one for about 30 to 40 seconds. This one gives you great feedback all the way up the back of the leg. It's good to try to get it straight. It doesn't matter if you can't have it all the way up here. If you have to go down to get it straight, do that. Work within your own limits. Nice. Perfect. 30 to 40 seconds. Nice. Then we're going to change that over. We're going to do that again. We're going to go through our big circles there. Love it. Well done. Red or blue, guys? What colour is yours? Little bounce of encouragement there. And then we're going to flex and bring this toe down to our face. We're going to hold it where it hurts. Love it. And again, we'd be doing 30 to 40 seconds there. Nice. Now what I want to do here, because we're here for posture corrections, is actually I want to start to help you. Those stretches will help you put everything back in alignment, but what we should be doing is helping our core now realise, because what's happening with one of those anterior pelvic tilts, when we're sticking out like this, all of the core muscles, they're going to become a lot weaker. So we're going to gently fix that now. And I'd stay on the floor. So I would do that in this order. Go through those stretches, and then you finally get to finish by doing a little bit of exercise. And we're going to start on the floor. Yeah, nice. Now what I want to do here is, first off, when you're laying down on the floor, for this movement and the next movement, we're going to do something where you don't have any space under your back. It's called the no gap. The no gap. So what I want you to do when you go here, if you're sitting here and you've got like a big space that you can stick your arm under, what I want you to do is focus pressing your core back into the floor. This actually might be quite tough for a lot of you. So if you want to, you can just sit here and practice that, pushing the back into the floor. It's called the no gap. If you've got the no gap, that's great. What we're going to do here is some gentle, bring it in, step it in, and then step it back down onto the floor. And we're going to change legs. You're going to bring it in, and you're going to pop it back down on the floor. And make it a thing to be noticing about the no gap. If the gap comes back, that's when you're just going to have a little moment, a little breathe, re-engage and engage your core so that the gap disappears. And then you can try and do these little step ups here. Nice, which is actually, it feels like it's just your legs that are moving, but you feel it for yourself. It's actually great core movement as well. So I would probably work my way through 10. So I would do 1, 1, all the way to 10. But if you want to do more, of course, you're always welcome to do more. Perfect. So once we've done those, we're going to have another little breath. Then what we're going to do is some of my favourite moves. We're going to be doing some bum presses, some blue bridges to the sky, or to the ceiling. So what I'm going to get you to do here is put your heels, about hip width apart, and we're going to press and screw them into the floor. And we still want to practice the no gap here. So if your arch has come back, we're going to engage the core and press that back in to the floor. Nice. From here, put my little hands down for a bit of stability. Now what I want to do is press my bum all the way up to the ceiling. And press it a little bit more than you think you can, because there's always a little bit more press in there. And when you do that, you can really feel this in the hips as well. So what these movements are doing is they're actually activating your core, and they're activating your bum to help your hips out. So your body's starting to realise that the anterior pelvic tilt, or the Donald Duck bum, isn't the best posture. So then we've gone and given those hip flexors a little stretch, just to loosen them up enough to be able to start activating the bum and the core to further loosen up those hip flexors, but to actually help your engagement around those areas happen. And I do want you to, don't just go through this like, oh yeah, stick it up, shove it down. We've got to go for a nice good press up, nice and controlled, and then you're going to bring it back down. And this is great for the bum and the hips. Perfect. Oh yeah, there's one move left that I want to do here, and it's going to be a little plank. Oh yeah. The reason why I'm doing the plank is because it actually is great for core. It's a great stabilising move, and it's another one that we can check out what those hips are doing. So when you may see planks where we're up all the way, but for today we're going to be doing it on our elbows. So we're going to pop our elbows just under our shoulders. We're going to press and screw them into the floor. Prefer to have the hands on the floor. Then what I'd like you to do is engage your bum as you bring your bum up. Nice, we're going to engage the core and we're going to hold it there in the middle. Now if you're not really done a plank very much before, you might find this quite difficult to hold. So all you're going to do is pop your little knees down on the floor so that you've got one more pillar of stability. And then you're going to hold that for about 30, 40, 60 seconds. And that will be awesome. One thing I want you to note when you're doing a plank, if you have come up on your toes, we don't do plank up here, and we don't do a saggy bum plank either. We do an engaged one. If you're midway through and you start to lose your plank, that's cool. That's just when you're going to put your knees on the floor and get through the rest of the time there. And if you practice those movements, you'd get a great core, a lot less pain in the back and the hips, and you wouldn't have that. If you do have that, I would love you to be doing these exercises for a few weeks and then tell me the difference. That would be awesome. I'm going to have another little stroll over and just say good morning again to everybody that's come on. Thank you all so much for being here every day. I love you all for it. It's a bit early, so perfect. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Great. Who did that? Did any of you do that with me? Did you feel the benefits of it? Do you think you'd do it later? And if it is something that you've noticed, don't give yourself a hard time first off, because not a lot of people know that a Donald Duck form may be the reason why that you're in a lot of pain, but I do see it a lot. So don't give yourself a hard time if that is you. Just start doing the stretches and the exercises to help it and help yourself. Perfect. If you did do those and you see the difference, or even if you're like, oh, actually that makes a ton of sense, please press that share button so that other people that you know will see it. Because chances are, if you're finding my stuff useful, that you probably know a few people that would also find this stuff useful. So get on it, do it for me. Nice. Does anyone have any questions whilst I'm here? If you do have any questions, if you're watching later and you're like, oh God, I wish I could ask these questions, then just ask them anyway, and I'll always be able to answer you in my next video. Yes. All right, my lovely lot. I'm going to get out of here. Have a cracking day. And thank you again, always, for being here. I really love you all for it so much. And even my later watchers, I know that you're there. Thank you. Have an amazing day, guys. And I'll see you in the morning. Goodbye.